Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective.
Hey there, everyone. I'm back. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Hope you're doing well on this Tuesday in the 17th of June, 2025. I am Ray Flowers. You can follow me on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those places at the Ray Flowers. You can find me doing baseball every day over at FantasyGuru.com, doing seasonal, doing DFS, doing wagering. You can find me struggling to get the tech to work behind me on this show, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, most weeks. This week a little different. Obviously, I wasn't here yesterday. I had a doctor's appointment, so I wasn't able to be on the show yesterday. Justin Fensterman stepping in. So you got me the rest of the week. So I'm here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This week, today we'll be joined by Armando Marçal. Tomorrow will be Rich Mileto. Thursday will be Tyler Beaker. Friday will be Russell Clay. So miss Monday, but you got me here the next 4 days this week. We also have the Elite Sports Show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, Jeff Mann Show. I'm with him every Wednesday, so I'll be there this Wednesday. That show is 3 to 6 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. And then Justin Fensterman and I on Game Time, on Elite Sports Game Time from 8 to 10 Eastern. So we're on the rest of this week. We're on every week at that point in time. I will note the next week we're moving to the morning. So for those of you that are in the mornings and, you're wondering, hey, I never get to hear you guys on SiriusXM. I always have to listen on demand. We're early next week. So we'll have more information about that. We're basically taking over Jeff Radcliffe's show for a week. So we'll be early next week instead of late in the evening, but we'll get more into that later on. So what are we talking about today? Let's throw it up on the old screen here. For those of you wondering, throwing up on the screen, what are we talking about? You can always go to FantasyGuru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top, catch the show in podcast form. You can type in, Fantasy Sports Daily to wherever you listen to podcasts and find us there. You can watch us live or on demand at Fantasy Guru's site. That's Facebook.com at Fantasy Guru's site. On Twitter X at Fantasy Guru's site. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. On YouTube at YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. Boy, I'm struggling here. Did that all make sense? Let's try one more time. Twitter X at Fantasy Guru's site. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. There you go, Ray. In any of those three places, you can watch the show live. You can watch it on demand. And if you're watching live, you can leave comments, questions that we can address throughout the show. We'll spend the first 25 or so minutes here talking some baseball. Devers, Anthony, Stanton, Yordan, Xavier, Freeman, Toglia, Gelof, Ohtani, McCullers, on and on. In about 25 minutes, we will visit with Armando Marçal. We'll talk some football with him. We'll talk a little bit about Superflex versus TQB leagues, 1QB leagues. Do you go late round QB, early QB? He's writing about a lot of things in the articles for the draft guide over at FantasyGuru.com for the football. Yes, it is available. We'll talk about that later in the show. What's going on in the backfields with Denver, with Jacksonville. Jordan Addison. A lot of people worried about Rashee Rice and his potential suspension. Maybe we should be worried about Jordan Addison and his suspension. So we'll talk about that as well as other topics such as Dalton Kincaid and Ashton Jeanty with Armando Marçal. All right, let's get into it. Rafael Devers, of course. The first Monday I've missed in forever when I have a doctor's appointment. We have one of the biggest trades the Giants have ever made. Rafael Devers goes to the Giants, one of the biggest trades in baseball. A few quick thoughts, and for more of my thoughts, go to FantasyGuru.com. Click on the Rays Ramblings piece that I wrote yesterday. I did write about the trade in depth yesterday over at FG. Devers goes to the Giants, gives him that bat. He's in a better lineup, worse ballpark, but a better lineup. He should continue to be productive. The Red Sox what were they expecting to get in return? They took the best deal I guess they could get. Obviously, with all the money due Devers the rest of the way, they weren't going to get high-end prospects or anything like that. They got Jordan Hicks, who throws 98 miles an hour, and Tibbs, who was a first-round pick, and Kyle Harrison, who in theory should be part of this rotation for the next decade if they want to keep him around. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But basically, I think this is something that Justin and I talked about again, 8 to 10 Eastern, Monday through Friday on the Elite Sports Game Time show on SiriusXM. We talked about this last night. The Red Sox are basically resetting. And, when you look at a player, clearly it wasn't working with Devers. There was miscommunication, misunderstanding. It just didn't work. They were able to get out of the contract. And so now we'll see what they do. Obviously, the team was a couple years ago set with Bogarts and Betts and Devers, and now all three of those guys are gone. So there's a culture change here. Red Sox have a ton of young players. We'll talk about one of them here in a second. Christian Campbell, Marcelo Meyer, Cedric Rafaela, Roman Anthony. So they'll try to build around those guys. And now they have $275 million free to spend on somebody else or multiple players. So I know the fan base is pissed off in Boston, which I understand. It's a terrible look to sign a guy to a $313 million deal and then trade him a couple years later. Terrible look. And obviously the way we're hearing all kinds of stories about the locker room, it's just, they got to fix things there in Boston. We'll see if they can do it. Roman Anthony hit a home run last night, his first of the season. Good for him. First of his career, obviously. He hit third last night. And again, Roman Anthony is a top 5 prospect in all of baseball. He's supposed to be a star in this league, and he very well could be the number 3 hitter for the Red Sox for the next decade. But putting a rookie in the third spot, a week into his big league career, that's not fair to Roman Anthony. That's a lot of pressure. I don't know what the Red Sox are doing. They're right around 500. They got a bunch of pieces they put together, and considering where everything has gone, I guess the record of about 500 is pretty good. But a lot of pressure on Roman Anthony. Hopefully, he'll be able to, build on the momentum from last night. Pretty quickly, he has kind of become the co-face of the franchise with Jarren Duran, who there's rumors they might trade as well. But obviously, good news for Anthony. He should be in the lineup every day. He should. Now, the Red Sox have sat Roman Anthony. They have sat Marcelo Meyer in lefty matchups. I think you got to let these kids play, especially at this point with Devers out of the lineup. So we'll see if they can put up enough offense in the short term or the rest of the way at least to make Roman Anthony more than just kind of a guy in the fantasy space with fingers crossed for him. Giancarlo Stanton, who's got not an elbow, who's got elbows that he came back from. No one seems to quite know what happened here. There have been rumors that a swing change he made might have done it. Maybe there was weightlifting, maybe years of doing too much weightlifting. I don't know. It's very weird to have double elbow issues. And we know this has been a storyline that was no big deal. Then it was a huge deal. Then he was going to need surgery and his season might be over. Whatever happened, happened. The bottom line is we sit here on June 17th, he's back. He went 2 for 4 last night with the double. And I'm really surprised at I see all the storylines and national media talking about this. And it's almost like you get the sense that the media thinks that Giancarlo Stanton is basically Aaron Judge. And it's like, Giancarlo Stanton ain't that good, folks. He's just not. Can he hit a home run? Yeah. Can he hit a ball about as hard as anyone in baseball? Absolutely. Is he a good baseball player? No, he's a bad baseball player. Can't play defense, can't run. Not a very good hitter. Look at the numbers. It's been that way for years. He can mash. Absolutely. But he's way closer to Joey Gallo than he is to Aaron Judge. So I just don't understand the excitement around the Yankees getting Giancarlo Stanton back. What the return of Giancarlo Stanton does really is jams things up. Because Stanton can't play the field. He just can't. I don't think they'd want him to at this point anyway. So he goes in the DH spot. Paul Goldschmidt's having a resurgent season, so he's playing first base. Where does Ben Rice play? We've heard Ben Rice talk about Ben Rice catching, which is great, but Austin Wells is their catcher, so Ben Rice is going to be their backup catcher, so he's going to catch twice a week. Maybe they'll get him in a nice matchup here. They'll rest Stanton for a day or something. Where's Ben Rice go? Ben Rice, as an offensive player, has been better in 2.5 months, than Stanton's going to be the next 2.5 months. I'd be really shocked if that wasn't the case. We'll see Ben Rice lose playing time. We'll likely see Jason Dominguez lose playing time. I don't know. Trent Grisham might lose some playing time, though they really need his glove in the outfield. So Stanton just jams things up. I'm really surprised at the excitement that some folks have had for Giancarlo Stanton. Yordan Alvarez, who is starting to look more like Giancarlo Stanton than he should look like Aaron Judge. He's got the hand issue, and he's still not swinging the bat. And, I mean, I don't know. He's got a fracture in his hand, and he's not swinging the bat. I don't, was this misdiagnosed? Did they miss this? I don't know. The fact is that he's been out for what? He's been out since May. So when did Yordan Alvarez play the last game? Let's look it up. This hand issue has taken a very long time to come back from. He last played on May 2nd. So we are, quick math, 6-7 weeks into this. and he's not swinging a bat. It's supposed to be a small fracture. Ugh. So it's June 17th. Certainly looking like he's not going to make it back in June. Maybe July, should be July. When in July? Is it before the All-Star game? Is it after the All-Star game? I mean, he was hitting .210 with 3 home runs and 121 plate appearances, so his performance was bad. And now he's going to miss at least 2 full months. Let's count, 2.5 months. Not looking good for him. I don't know. There's always a chance in the second half he's a star because he's a great hitter. But he clearly is going to miss on the expectations, and we'll have to reassess next season. He's kind of like Mike Trout, right? It's like he's really good when he's out there, but, if every year he's missing a month or more, still not swinging a bat, Yordan Alvarez. Xavier Edwards has returned from his injury. He went 2-4 last night, scored a run. Just wanted to talk about him because we haven't discussed him in a while. The last 15 games, hitting .388. We saw him last year do something similar where mid-season-ish, he really started to hit, and down the stretch, he was a terrific player in the second half. Started slowly this year. The expectations were really high. Started slowly to Xavier Edwards, and clearly he has missed expectations to date. Part of that is his ill health. Part of that is the fact that his game includes a lack of power, so he really needs to have the batting average and the stolen bases be there. He's got his batting average up to .283, which is lower than last season, but that's a reasonable mark. That's fine. That mark could climb a little bit more, so totally okay with where we're at there. 11 steals in 55 games. He stole 31 bases in 70 games last year. Now, there were reports he was going to steal 70, 80 bases this year. I think it would have been fair to say let's go 45 or 50, right, in a full season. So 11 steals in 55 games is basically pace for 30. Ugh. So he's basically on pace to match his steal total from last year if he played twice as many games. So got to pick that up. I think it's reasonable to think he can pick that up. He's got a .356 on base percentage, which is still pretty good too. He's getting on base. He's getting hot. Limited player for what he is, but just wanted to give him a shout out. I think we're very likely to see a solid second half from him, just like we did last year. Another guy that's kind of slides through the cracks is Tyler Freeman. Now, Tyler Freeman, who's on the Rockies, hit second yesterday. And I don't really know. We've talked about this over and over again. I don't know what the Rockies' plan is. And in fact, their plan seems to be they don't really have a plan. Okay? But Tyler Freeman's just a guy. It's proven he's just a guy. There's no chance of him being anything other than just a guy. He's just a guy. Batting him second now. It's intriguing. He's also in a nice stretch here. He's hitting .381 over his last 15 games. Now, he's not a power hitter. He's not going to steal bases. But if he's hitting second, he's somebody we got to take a look at. He probably has dual position eligibility. Let's pull that up real quickly so I can verify his games played. This year he has played 19 games in the outfield, 6 games at second base. He's played a game at third base. If you look at his performance last year, he played 8 games at third, 6 games at second, qualified in the outfield. So he, depending on your qualifications, may only be outfield eligible. He's got the potential to be second base eligible too, because a lot of leagues are 5 games in season. Obviously, way more attractive as a second baseman than as an outfielder. But just throwing his name out there, keep an eye on the batting order with the Rockies. Short-term pickups, head-to-head league folks, that kind of thing. Maybe he gives a little bit here in short order. Michael Toglia has been promoted back to the Rockies. Speaking of the Rockies, they demoted him when he was horrible about 3 weeks ago. He's hitting .190, got .260 on base, just terrible. And looking very little like the player that we saw last year with a nice fantasy season. Played 11 games in the minor leagues, hit .270 with a .350 on base percentage and a .570 slugging percentage. So back up to the big leagues we go here with Toglia. Probably going to play pretty much every day. I think that's the way we're looking at this now. I don't think we should be looking at him and thinking what we're going to get the power speed combo guy that we got last year. In fact, I don't think we should be looking at him and even really adding him if you're in a mixed league. I don't know why you'd be doing that at this point in time. Certainly has the ability to hit 30 home runs, could steal 10 bases. He does have the talent to do that, but it's going to be accompanied by a poor batting average. He's an incomplete offensive player. There's no way around that. Angela says Hunter Goodman is my catcher. He's also outfield eligible in ESPN. Glad he's my catcher. Yeah, he's going to be catcher eligible next year too, which is fantastic. We talked a lot about Hunter Goodman last night on the Elite Sports Game Time show on Sirius XM. Justin and I probably spent a good 3 or 4 minutes breaking down Hunter Goodman, so check that out on demand if you missed the show last night. Zack, somebody that we were kind of in on in the preseason. Yeah, right, let's go. Then he breaks his hamate bone, and we know the hamate bone is going to cost you roughly 6 weeks. So shoot. Then he's about ready to return from the hamate bone issue, and then he's got a stress reaction in his rib cage. So shoot, they shut him down for a couple more weeks. Well, the good news is today he's starting his rehab assignment at AAA as Zack. So we will most likely see him back right around the end of the month, certainly before the All-Star break. So, he's not somebody to get jazzed about, but you can kick the tires on the waiver wire kind of thing if he's floating out there. Certainly has the abilities we saw last year to be a power speed guy. Limitations, batting average is going to be good. Where's he going to hit in the order? Probably not at the top. I think Lawrence, Butler, Wilson, Rooker, I think the A's are pretty happy with what they got at the top. So we'll probably see Gelof hit 6th, 7th, like something like that. So for what it's worth, one of the better power speed options you're going to find on waivers up the middle. Might be a company with a ton of strikeouts and a bad batting average, and you never know physically where he's at and how long it's going to take him to get into mid-season form and all that kind of stuff. But starting his rehab today, so hopefully we'll get some good news there. Eddie G, this is really good. My man, Ray. Hey, Eddie. How you doing? I'm doing all right, Eddie. Do you get along with Jeff Mans? Yeah, I get along with Jeff Mans, Eddie. I've met Jeff's family. Spent a lot of time with Jeff. Jeff is my best friend in the industry. Jeff and I have worked together for, over a decade now. I don't know how long has it actually been. 12 years, maybe? 12, 13 years? Yeah, I definitely get along with Jeff. We talk every week on the phone. We talk about business. We talk about life. So, yeah, I get along. Interesting question there, Eddie. John G, by the way, says I went to the Phillies game on Sunday. Bohm's homer went 5 rows behind me. Wheeler was dealing. Baseball is fun. It sure can be. When the weather's not getting in the way and when your team isn't getting destroyed by the opponent. But the game itself is great. I was going to say it's my favorite sport to attend because I like the vibe, Hockey is fantastic, though, in person. So it's a real back and forth for me. But both of them are great. And I'm glad you had a good time at the game, John. Hopefully you'll be able to get out to a couple more games the rest of the way. Let's talk some pitching. Shohei Ohtani. This happened fast. I get it. And Justin and I talked about this last night. We talked about the fact that the game is different. And Justin and I see this completely differently. I don't know what you think, all. Justin thinks it's dangerous for the Dodgers to pitch Ohtani. Why not just let him be a hitter? I'm of the other side of the opinion here that you paid him $700+ million to do pitching and hitting. He's arguably the greatest all-around baseball talent ever, so why short-circuit him from doing that? He didn't pitch last year, still won the MVP. So, even though he wasn't able to pitch, still won the MVP as a player. I want him to do both. Now, how are the Dodgers going to do this? It looks like they're going to pitch him once a week. And they're going to get, last night they used him as an opener kind of out of nowhere. His last outing was like 44 pitches in the simulated game. So he let him throw an inning last night, gave up a run. Then he went and drove in a couple of runs as a hitter. It's really interesting how this is going to work out. It seems likely that they're going to use him kind of as an opener and let him build his pitch count that way, which is disappointing because obviously when he's an opener, is he going to be going 5 innings? Well, not here at the start, so he's not eligible for a victory, so that really diminishes his fantasy value versus if he was following in an opener, right? Then he'd have the opportunity for a victory. So that's a little bit of a rough one here. Maybe in 4 or 5 starts, he's throwing 80 pitches and it doesn't matter anyway. Something to keep an eye on. There was talk about whether or not he would stay in the leadoff spot because they didn't, do you want him to pitch and then immediately go hit? He said he wanted to stay at the leadoff spot. That's what they did last night. So he looked good. He was hitting 98, 99, even hit 100 on a pitch in terms of the velocity there. So likely be an opener again next outing and maybe go 2 innings next time out, maybe 3 if things go well as the Dodgers continue to build with Shohei Ohtani. So let's see here. Eddie C says, I'm an Orioles fan, so I have no baseball questions. I just listen to support you. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate it. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, everybody. John, everyone that's always commenting here in the chat room while we're doing the show. Always appreciate, again, the positivity everyone shows. This next storyline is not a positive one, and I find it's unfortunate. And that is Lance McCullers. We've talked about him on this show. I've written about him at fantasyguru.com. I've talked about him on SiriusXM. I've talked about him in the Discord over at FG. Remember, by the way, you can get the baseball product at FG right now for one price. click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get the baseball product, which includes DFS, seasonal, and wagering. All of it's one package. So everything we do baseball-wise, all of it, one price. Support at fantasyguru.com. McCullers comes up, and I tell people, I'm out. I'm not in. I'm not adding them. Wish them the best. Just not doing it. A lot of people ignore my advice. They get a couple of good outings, huge strikeout totals. I'm seeing questions in Discord about him all the time. I'm warning people. Oh, he's a 2-start guy this week. Don't bet on him making 2 starts this week. He didn't make 2 starts that week. I'm still warning people, and now we're getting a foot injury with him, and now he's on the injured list. And they are saying a minimum stint on the DL is possible. In fact, it's likely according to their estimates, which would be 15 days. Again, wish the guy the best in the world, but no. So if you've got him on your team, it's on you. I kind of get everyone. You have to make a decision on players, and it's okay to be out on certain guys. You don't have to be out on everybody. It's like the Nick Lodolo stuff with everyone here. I'm not answering Nick Lodolo questions anymore. You know my opinion on Nick Lodolo. It's up to you what you want to do with it. You know my opinion with Lance McCullers. I don't think I'm answering Lance McCullers questions anymore. You know my opinion. If you want to ignore it, fine. If you want to go in a different direction, fine. It's your team. If you disagree with me, that's fine. I'm not going to keep answering the same questions over and over again, especially when they play out exactly as we anticipated. So wish McCullers the best. Hope it's a 15-day stay on the Angel list. We'll see how it goes. Okay, Eddie's on fire this morning. Please be objective when you're on with fans. I feel like other hosts are just more going with what he says instead of pushing back. Number one, Eddie, no one tells us what to say on this show or on SiriusXM. Number two, I don't know who the other hosts are. Number three, I'm always honest, and I kind of get offended by you saying be objective, to be quite fair, Eddie. I know you're not saying it that way, but I'm always freaking objective. Okay? I'm honest. That's how I've gotten here. That's how I've been doing this for 25 years. Not because I kowtow, not because I agree, because I say my opinion and I'm objective and honest. I don't have an act. That came out recently. One of the hosts on SiriusXM was talking about how they're playing a role on the show. No. This is me. For good or bad, better or worse. I'm myself. It's the only way I think you can be successful. I'm always objective. Justin Verlander is going to start Wednesday for the Giants. We'll see, right? He's more valuable to the Giants than I think he's really an option in the fantasy space, because he's just a guy. The Giants would love to have him take the ball every 5 games, give him those 5 innings of 2-3 run baseball and get out of there. Maybe that's the case it'll be. Looks like they're going to go Robbie Ray today, then Verlander tomorrow, then Logan Webb, then Hayden Birdsong on Friday. So if you're looking to set your Giants lineup, that's kind of what they're expected to do. Are you adding Verlander right now? I'm not. Would I start him against the Guardians? Why? At this point, we just don't know what we're going to get. So even if you're in a head-to-head league, Justin Verlander, big name, but just not a name that I'm interested in adding right now. Logan Gilbert is a big name, and he did return last night with the Fury. 10 strikeouts over 5 innings, even though he got the loss against the Red Sox. He gave up a solo home run to Roman Anthony that we talked about earlier. But he was good. He was one of the best pitchers going. It looks like he's ready to rock and roll. Got a very difficult matchup against the Cubs on the weekend if the rotation stays the way it is. So that's a little bit dicey. But he did pitch well enough that if your intention was to start him against Chicago anyway, the Cubs on Sunday, there's really no reason to shy away from that. Went 5 innings, had the 10 strikeouts, looked good. It's great to see Logan Gilbert back in our lives. We need these guys back in our lives. Ryan Gusto gave up 1 run over 5 innings against the Athletics, had 8 strikeouts. And this guy is starting to be pretty legit. And, there was a worry as he's transitioning from the bullpen, like how deep into games he's going to go and stuff. He's starting to get the sense of being a 5-inning each time out kind of guy. And he's starting to be Zack Little with a little bit more strikeout oomph. That's kind of what I'm, if we're zoning him, putting him in a bucket. Really impressive. And, at this point in time, Gusto or Lance McCullers, go Gusto. So he's got another outing this week against the Angels. That should come over the weekend. So if Gusto's on the waiver wire against the Angels, that is not a matchup to fear. The Angels have been bottom quarter offense last week. We know they can be pitched to. And Gusto looked pretty sharp last night. He made Bays look pretty bad last night. Seth Halvorsen, before we talk some football with Armando Marçal. Seth Halvorsen apparently is now the closer again for the Cubs. The Rockies. There are situations to be involved in, whether we're talking backfields in football or bullpens in baseball. I really don't want to be involved with closers here, with the Rockies. They don't win games. As we talked about earlier, they don't really have a plan. They're not putting their relievers in spots to get a bunch of saves, excuse me. But Halvorsen, picked up his 4th save. He's got 4 holds. He's got around a strikeout an inning, but even so, his K rate is a little bit below the league average. His walk rate is over 11%. It's a bad mark. His 1.5 whip is not a good mark. He does get a lot of ground balls, and that's what you need to do to be successful in Colorado, right? Because even if the ball's not flying into the seats, so it's a storyline that gets missed sometimes. The outfield is ginormous because the fences are so deep, so the outfield is huge. So you got to keep the ball down. He does that, but So, if you're looking for that boost in the bullpen, I know some people are, and you're ready to take on 12 saves the rest of the way with a 4.80 ERA, maybe Halvorsen's your guy. Hopefully you'd be going in a different direction there. He's not very exciting. So before we talk some football with Armando Marçal, let's just do a quick thing here. Do a quick check on the news, see if anything's popping. This is good news. Garrett Mitchell will start his rehab assignment today. The power speed, in theory, outfielder of the Brewers. So hopefully he's back next week. Just a couple of months with an oblique strain. So we'll look to get him back in our lives. Will Vest, someone that we've talked about or had discussions about in Discord many times, he's going to avoid the injured list, which is really good news. People trying to set their lineups yesterday. Remember, when teams don't play, like the Tigers didn't play yesterday, we often don't get news because they're not around, right? They're traveling. The beat reporters aren't there, that kind of thing. But we got a report this morning from Jason Bech, who's covered the team for years, that Will Vest expects him to avoid the injury list after leaving with that pinky issue, which is fantastic. Here's the quote from AJ Hinch, the manager. I'm expecting to have him available in some capacity and not to go on the injury list. Things can always change if we get more information, but so far, so good. So Tommy Canley, obviously, his status is going up a little bit in that bullpen with the Tigers, but for now, it seems like Will Vest has avoided the injured list, which is very good news. It's football season, folks. Did you know that? You knew that, right? Well, it is. Get over to fantasyguru.com. Get signed up for the football product right now. It's available. It's growing on a daily basis. If you buy the football product at FG, it's a season-long product. Okay? Season-long. So you sign up now. It's not just preseason. It's all the way through the end of the regular season. You can sign up for the DFS football package, which obviously is not going right now, but you can sign up for it. You can sign up for the wagering football package. You can sign up for the seasonal football package, which is killing it. We've got dynasty rankings, rookie rankings, IDP rankings, PPR rankings, non-PPR rankings, articles, player profiles, articles strategy-wise. We'll start to debut the podcast series here in a bit. I think we're going to have 20 podcasts as part of this. We'll have our training camp day in the future as well, where the entire staff spends like 13 hours. Everyone gives presentations, and we do that, and we'll have tons of information about that as we get closer. But a lot going on over at fantasyguru.com. So get over there, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner, get signed up for the product. Again, it's a growing, living, breathing animal that adds work every single day. My first 4 articles are about, I think, 10 days away from dropping. I'll have other articles too, so I'll be involved. Yeah, I'm writing football. I've been writing football for a while now. This is the game, even though we're full in the middle of baseball season. That's how it goes. I start writing baseball for the following year come November, so that's how it goes. But the crew over there, including all the people you see here, Armando Marçal on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Rich Mileto, Thursdays, Tyler Beaker, and Fridays, Russell Clay, all those guys joining us about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. All that crew continues to contribute to the draft guide as we watch the product grow into helping you have success in 2025. Without further ado, let's bring in the gent that we have on with us every Tuesday. We talk football. We have some fun. Sometimes we open up packs of cards. Sometimes we talk shop. Sometimes we talk life. He's the author, owner, runner, however you want it, the person that does all the work for the Mind of Marçal podcast. You can go to fantasyguru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page and find this show catalog. You can also find his podcast, Mind of Marçal. He's Armando Marçal at fantasyguru.com. How you doing, Armando?
I'm doing good, Ray. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. We're doing a little bit of this and that. We got articles and podcasts and live streams and Discord this, and it's a lot of work. And I'm sure you talked about this. You're really excited now too because you're able to actually release stuff you've been working on behind the scenes for a while.
Yeah, it's true. So yesterday we posted 3 articles there. We got 3 different draft strategies. We did the late round quarterback, 2 quarterback, super flex, and then I combined the modified and 0 RB. It's a very similar approaches. So we usually add 1 different article. So we just combined them this time around. And so we did that. Got the red zone review coming out Wednesday. Then I got same faces and new places coming out Friday. I'll be on the live stream tonight. Podcast comes out this week. So yeah, we, like you said, we're working along here, having a good time. But like you mentioned, we've been working on a lot of this behind the scenes for a couple of weeks now. So pumped to see it out of fruition and everyone reading it there.
Yeah, the live stream is at 7:00 Eastern time every Tuesday night. So that'll be on again tonight with Armando. Let's talk about a couple of those articles before we dive into some of the news. And again, full articles on these topics that we're going to discuss, these first 2 topics, over at fantasyguru.com. Armando just mentioned that he dropped those yesterday. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page to get signed up, or you can always send a note to our crew at support@fantasyguru.com. Say, hey, I want to get signed up. I want to see all Armando's work. Support@fantasyguru.com. In general, your preference, 2 QB league or super flex league? Do you have a strong preference there? To me, the 2 quarterback league is really tough unless you're like in a 10-team league. And even then, with bye weeks and teams not being certain who their quarterback is and injuries, I'm not a fan of the 2 QB league. If I was doing it, I would do super flex. What would be your choice?
I agree 100% with you, Ray. Like, I'm more of a super flex. If I'm playing in a different, outside of a 1 quarterback, I'm more of a super flex type of player. I've been doing super flex in my league now for 10 plus years. We really enjoy that format. We consider going 2 QB, but like you mentioned, it gets tricky, right? With the bye weeks, if you do 12 teams, it's just simple math, right? 12 times 3 is 36. There's 32 teams in the NFL. Like, you're going to be in a position where there's going to be a week more likely that you're not playing a quarterback, and it just takes away from the skill, right, at that point. And then it also forces, you're going to see teams hoard their quarterbacks. Like, we've had that issue in the past. I've been in leagues where that's been an issue. Guy has 5 quarterbacks on his team. It's like, what are we doing here? So then you have to, as a commissioner, have restrictions. And I feel like it can become a little bit complicated when you go above 10 teams in those kind of formats. So for me, it's pretty simple, super flex, because at the end of the day, you can be very flexible, right, with that flex spot and not be forced to play a quarterback or just, be forced to do anything. You could put whoever in that position. So I think it does give fantasy managers so much more flexibility, Ray.
You also wrote, and you mentioned this about the quarterback, late round quarterback idea. There's kind of 2 main thoughts here. One, early quarterback, where you get a superstar that could be the league MVP. And then the other line of thought is, well, I'm not going to spend that early draft capital. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to get a guy that's going to throw for 4,100 yards and 27 touchdowns, and I'll be fine. Talk to us. You wrote about the late round quarterback strategy. Did you like what you found?
Yeah, I've been someone that takes my quarterbacks late in a lot of drafts. Now, don't get me wrong. Every now and then I change it up. It depends on how the draft is going, but you don't necessarily have to exhaust a 3rd or 2nd round pick on a quarterback to win your fantasy league. Yes, I view Josh Allen, I view, Lamar Jackson. These are luxuries, right? In single quarterback leagues, these are luxuries, players that are going to give you a consistently high floor on a week-to-week basis and an incredible ceiling. They're going to give you 30-plus fantasy point performances multiple times throughout the year. And that week, you're likely going to win your game on a head-to-head scoring format. So, yeah, I do view them as luxuries, but I don't think they're necessities to win your fantasy football league, because the cost, the opportunity cost at other positions when you're electing or you're selecting to go with a quarterback that early, it can be high. There's some really good wide receivers in that range, some still really good running backs. So you look down and you look at some of these quarterbacks going in round 8, 9. Some of these guys finish top 5, top 6, and if you got yourself a top 5, top 6 quarterback, you're going to be just fine, because you're going to have a very strong foundation and a very, I would say complete team at other positions, right? You don't really have that many holes. So for me, that's the way I view it. And again, it just depends on your league format, your league scoring. So all of that stuff will obviously place a lot of emphasis on when you draft a quarterback. But I don't think in order to win your fantasy football, you need to draft a quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round. I just, I've seen it, and the numbers suggest it.
Yeah, and it's always, we talk in generalities because we just don't know what your league's going to do.
Correct.
If you're in an auction, we can tell you go do A, B, and C, right? If you're in a snake draft, remember, you can only take whoever others don't draft, whoever other teams don't want. And so you can have a plan to do A, just doesn't work because everyone's doing A. You can have a plan to do B. Half the league's doing A, half the league's doing B. Maybe you need a plan C. So it's great to have a plan, but remember, folks, that when we talk about this and when you're setting up your strategies for fantasy football in particular, you gotta have options because you never know what's going to be happening around you in the league. Speaking of, go ahead. Yeah.
To add, because I pulled up some. I was as you were talking, I pulled it up. So just for perspective, I want people to see like what I mean. We don't have to when and I wrote this in the article. You don't have to wait until round 11, 12. That doesn't necessarily. Round 8 is it's a mid-late round, right? Like in a lot of drafts. So for perspective, when I look at last year, there were 3 quarterbacks being taken in round 8: Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, and Jordan Love. You have 2 top 5s there, like. Yep. Right, like you have 2 guys that finish. So, like there is those kind of quarterbacks. There are those kind of quarterbacks in mid-late rounds that you can still get. And if you're drafting your quarterback in the 8th round, that means you have 3 wide receivers, at least 3 wide receivers, at least 2 running backs, potentially an elite tight end, and you still have room for 1 more player, and then you could take your quarterback. So that's the way. I just wanted to show and give like some perspective so that people see it's. Not necessarily waiting until the 15th round, but if you wait 8th, 9th, 10th round, you can still get, good quarterbacks.
Armando Masal, fantasyguru.com, joins us every Tuesday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time here on the show. What's going on in the backfield with the Broncos? I think I know what's happening. I think you probably know what's going to happen. The reporting is all over the map. The reporting from everyone seems to suggest that J.K. Dobbins is Derrick Henry, and he's going to have 300 touches this year. Like, I really don't get it. I've heard that J.K. Dobbins is going to be the 3rd down back. He should never be a 3rd down back. I've heard that, R.J. Harvey's hoping to have a situational role. Like, now he's not even part of, now he's, I don't know, is he behind Audric Estime? What's going on in this backfield? The reporting's all over the place.
I mean, I think we all saw J.K. Dobbins running last year, right? Did we not? Did we not see him running last year? It just, there's no way. There's no way in hell, and I'm sorry if I can't say that word. There's no way in hell that we could say he is Derrick Henry. There is absolutely no. Even when Derrick Henry is gassed, J.K. Dobbins is not that. I don't think so. Look, I think this is one of those situations where there's going to be a lot of coach speak, and you're going to have to decipher what's true from what's not true. And in this instance, I think it's going to be Harvey. Yes, Dobbins might have a role early on, but like we saw, like it's going to be short-lived. It's not going to be the entire season. I don't think he has, all that much left in the tank, at least from what we saw last season, right? Maybe we could be wrong. Maybe it was just he was returning for a couple of years injured or whatnot. Maybe.
Well, then he got hurt again, though.
And then he got hurt again, though, right? So, like, even if he is, we saw last season, it's not going to last long. So for me, I'm still addressing Harvey. He's still the guy I'm targeting in this backfield. And unless something crazy happens between now and the start of the season, I think worst case for Harvey managers is going to be some form of committee early on in the season. And that would be it. I do think Harvey will lead this back in touches and opportunities and snaps at the end of the season.
The last 4 years, he's played 22 games.
Yeah, I mean,
4 years, 22 games.
Same in 6 games a year.
Yeah, and and we all say it nicely. He would burst through the line last year and get run down 4 yards into the defensive backfield. He has no speed. I'm not saying can't be an effective running back or an option for the Broncos. Yeah, sure. But these reports that he's going to take over the backfield and R.J. Harvey's useless, I just don't. I think it represents a great opportunity to get R.J. Harvey, personally, like dynasty or redraft, because people are buying this nonsense with J.K. Dobbins, Armando.
I couldn't agree more. Like, this is where you buy the dip, right? Because now ADP. You're going to see it within the next week or so. If you're drafting, whether it's best ball, wherever you're drafting, you're going to see the ADP start declining for Harvey because of all these reports. And this is the perfect time to buy and take advantage of the opportunity. Because for me, nothing has changed from 3 weeks ago when we were big on Harvey to now. Like, nothing has changed. Could there be now a little bit more obstacles, maybe a little bit more vulturing in some instances? Sure, but I still believe Harvey's going to be their guy here. And if you ask me who the most talented runner and running back in this backfield is, it's R.J. Harvey. Like for me, that's who it is. I maybe you have a different opinion, but when you look at talent, when you look at it's Harvey at this point.
I love the talk. I saw like PFF had, I think Dobbins like 53rd out of 58 running backs or something like that as a pass catcher. And there's reports going to be a third down back. He's never been a third down back.
No.
So where are these reports? He's not a third down back, number one. Number two, he averages 5 yards a catch. Whoopie-doo, because in the open field, he can't get it done. He doesn't have the speed anymore with all these injuries. I just don't get it. Anyway.
So for those saying he's going to be a pass catching back, let me give you some numbers here. 2020, 18. 2022, 7. There were only 8 games. 2023, 2. Only 1 game. 2024, 32. These are receptions throughout his career. He's never had more than 32 receptions. And in that 2020 was when he played his most games, 15 games. He had 24 targets, 18 receptions. He has 1 receiving touchdown in his career. He has over 200 receiving yards once in his career. Come on. Come on.
Sometimes beat reporters.
Unless he's been training with LaDainian Tomlinson, all that we don't know about, fine.
Right.
But no.
And he's got RJ Harvey's knees all of a sudden.
Yeah. Come on.
Armando Marcelo fantasy.
I love these reports, Ray. I'm sorry. I love these reports.
I don't. You know what? I say this in all truthfulness. It's because the NFL is 365 a year, and there's nothing to talk about for 2/3 of that. There's nothing to talk about right now. Nothing. So people just make stuff up. That's what. Travis Etienne, and this one is a situation. This one's not a fake backfield concern like Denver. This is a real backfield concern with Jacksonville. Liam Cohen's there. We think there'll be 2 guys. We think they'll be very successful. They'll be involved as pass catchers. They'll be involved as runners, all that kind of stuff. Etienne has had some strong seasons. He's had some lost seasons, including last year. He's obviously failed to live up to expectations. The connection with Trevor Lawrence, who was supposed to lead to great things, hasn't happened. Sports Illustrated John Shipley says, well, Travis Etienne is going to start the year as the RB1, which I think makes sense given everything. But we did hear he was going to get traded at the draft day. We had to have his head coach come out and say we love him. So this is one of those like, all right, even if we're taking Etienne at a discount, we're buying the dip, to use your term. Who are we cuffing him to? Because this is a scenario where I just don't have a good feeling about it. So, what are you doing with the backfield of the Jaguars?
Yeah, you want to be invested in the Cohen backfield, right? You saw it last year. You saw what he's and we saw him use 2 running backs. So let's keep that in mind. Like they did use 2 running backs last year. Until Bucky Irving just took over and he was their guy. I do agree with you. I think it's going to be Travis Etienne early on, and I think it's going to be his job to lose. Though that said, I do expect Tank Bigsby to be very involved. I wouldn't be surprised to see some form of committee to a certain extent where you see 60-40, 65, 35, 70-30, where Travis Etienne is the favorite, but if Bigsby is outperforming him, I don't think Cohen is going to, be shy about switching it up here. Like he wasn't shy about it last year. I don't think he's going to be shy about switching it up here. He has 0. Remember, none of these are his guys. He's inherited them, so there's nothing here like for him. So he's going to play his best player. I think Travis Etienne is going to get that first shot. And like you mentioned, if you look at the numbers, he's been a top 3 running back at least once throughout his career, right? That happened in 2023. So he's been there and he's done that. And I think he's going to get the first opportunity. But I don't think it's going to be an 80-20 or 90-10 situation where he's getting, upwards of 330 opportunities. I think when you're looking at Etienne, I think you'd safely pencil him for at least 250 opportunities, so long as he's playing well with the upside for more. And if you're handcuffing him, it's Tank Bigsby at this moment. I do think I like what I've seen from Tank Bigsby. I think that, he can be their guy there too. So if you're drafting Travis Etienne, I do think, having that insurance plan with Tank Bigsby is something to consider there.
If you're in a standard 12-team league, or traditional, I shouldn't say standard, traditional 12-team league, does Toot need to be drafted? They took him in the 4th round, so I don't know. I mean, that's not high, but clearly Cohen saw something there, and, he's around.
I think if you miss on Bigsby, if you're an Etienne owner and you miss on Bigsby, sure, but this is one of those players where if you do draft him and you do take a shot at him, it's with the intention of you're kind of burning that, bench spot, right? Like don't draft him and then 3 weeks later drop him. Like that's the kind of player that I look at as I view Tootin as right now, because I do think he's going to be, competing with Bigsby and Etienne for those competition for those opportunities. I think early on it will lean heavily on Etienne and Bigsby. Will Tutin eventually have a role? I think it could. I think if Etienne struggles like he did last year, I do think that's going to be the path for Tutin, or if someone gets injured, of course. But I do think that's going to be the path for Tutin to see those opportunities. So to answer your question, yes, it's more of a stash play than an actual pure handcuff early on in the season.
Armando Sala, FantasyGuru.com. We spent a lot of time, Armando, unfortunately, talking about off the field stuff when it comes to NFL players, because there's a lot of things that unfortunately happen away from the field. A lot of focus on Rashee Rice and what's happening with his situation. Like, we talked about this all year last year. Is he going to get suspended? His court case keeps getting pushed back and back and back. Here comes Jordan Addison, and we have a court date for Jordan Addison, and it's basically now. And so there's now growing concern because he has a 2024 DUI charge. There's now concern that, the league always waits till this stuff plays out, and then there's almost always a suspension. It might be a game or two, could be 4 or 6. Does this news, that, hey, man, this is going to get adjudicated earlier than we thought, change your opinion on drafting Jordan Addison this year?
Well, it's July 15th, if I'm not mistaken, that court date. So we have time, right? Like, we have in less than a month, we'll find out. I do believe that the league will take action here. I've been hesitant to draft him because I do believe that with this specific thing, we've seen the league where they sometimes I feel like they over penalize, right? Like for certain things and under penalize. So you really don't know what they're going to do here, but what if they do 6 to 8 games? Like, I'm not saying don't quote me on that. I'm just saying whether they do 6 to 8 games, like right. You're talking about potentially half of the season, right? I've never even wanted to draft players that I know are going to or not do it often, to draft players that are going to make half of the season, because we have to remember, like, it's half the season, then a couple of weeks to get going. So I'm hesitant to draft him right now. I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on this court date, seeing what happens. But I wouldn't be shocked to see the league take action here. I really wouldn't be shocked to see the league take action, regardless of what happens with the court. I think they're going to see what the legal matters are, and then they're going to take their own matters into their own hands. That's kind of what the NFL does, is their forte. So I think we'll have some clarity on this situation by late July, at worst, early August. And I think that's when a lot of people are doing their drafts. So hopefully we'll have that clarity. If you don't, probably, unless you're getting him at a very discounted price, probably won't be invested in him. If you look at ADP right now, I mean, we're looking
there's no discount given yet.
There's none.
This news has basically come out in the last 24 hours, so maybe it'll start to change. But
correct.
People are drafting him and saying it's a full go. The guy that scored 10 touchdowns this year was 2 seasons.
Correct. And that's the problem. Like, people are still investing him there in that price, and it's, you're looking at wide receiver 34. It's tough. For someone who could potentially be suspended a handful of games. Once he gets discounted, we'll invest him. At this moment, I'm not ready.
Run Marsala, FantasyGuru.com. Remember, go to FG, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page to find this show in podcast form, as well as his show, Mind of Marsal. Go to the Jets. The Jets, here we go. Breece Hall, Mason Taylor, Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson. Let's go. Not a lot of real what the hell's going on behind those 4 guys kind of stuff, right? Especially in the receiving core. And you look at the receiving core, there's like 412 guys on the Jets that could conceivably make the roster as a wide receiver. Rich Criminy, who's covered the team for a long time, says that Josh Reynolds is the clear-cut favorite to be the wide receiver too. And then you start to read the X's and O's, and like, well, Wilson's going to have double coverage, and they're going to keep guys in the in the box because of Fields, and Josh Reynolds is going to be running wide open fly routes. It's kind of the storyline we're getting here. Is Josh Reynolds, in your opinion, the second best option with the Jets receiving core? And secondarily, do you care if he is?
I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to answer your second question. I don't care. Okay. I don't care if he is. Can he be that? Sure, that because of just the lack of supporting cast, right? Like, there aren't many great options there in New York. But is it going to impact my approach with this offense? No, I think for me this offense is straightforward, and I think it's Fields, Hall, Wilson, and if you want to, handcuff Hall with Braylon Allen, sure. Like, I do think he's a very strong handcuff, but outside of that, I probably won't be too invested in this offense. I don't think there's going to be consistency outside of that core right there.
So to the Raiders, Jack Bech was, drafted in the second round, I believe, like pick 58 or something like that. And obviously a lot of excitement that he's got an opportunity to fill a role here behind Jacoby Myers, and he's going to be involved early as a rookie and all that. Then we're getting reports that he's running with the second team offense. In my opinion, who cares? I mean, he just got to the team. They want to run with the second team offense when they first get together. Okay. Number one. Number two, I'm not drafting Jack Bech, expecting him to catch 70 passes this year anyway. So I don't know if this impact. So I don't know if this is actionable information or if it's just information. What do you think? Because there seemingly is an opportunity for Bech to take a full-time role in this offense with the Raiders. He's got the size and speed that's attractive. He's a rookie wide receiver with Geno Smith, so I'm not overly excited anyway. But what do you think? Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be blowing this report out of proportion just yet. They did also report that Dante Thornton, who I think they drafted in the 4th or 5th round, is spending time with the first team. So, look, this is one of those situations. Maybe this young man Bech is a little bit behind. Maybe he's still learning to play. I think he's ultimately going to be the wide receiver 2 for this offense. Mm-hmm. But again, we look at this supporting cast. We go back to it, right? You mentioned Myers. We can't forget Bowers. We can't forget Jeanty. Like, there's only one football here. Is Bech really going to get all of those opportunities as a rookie? I still view him as a long-term investment. I will have some shots of him in some best balls, if I stack the Raiders, or even if I don't, to have some shots in best balls. So I do think that there could be some good weeks out of Bech here. You mentioned he checks off a lot of the boxes. I think opportunities, he's one injury away from a significant role there. So with that in mind, I will have some exposure to, but my expectations for him as a rookie are not super high. I'm not expecting him to come out here and be one of the best rookie receivers of this season. I just, when you look at the situation, when you look at, the offense, the quarterback situation, I just don't see it here. So for me, I wouldn't be blowing this, report out of proportion. This is one of those little things. You just note this, you put it there. It's a piece of the puzzle. It's a piece of the puzzle. And if you're looking to invest in him, keep that in mind. I think eventually he'll start working the first teams. It's June. It's June. We're not even anywhere near the start of the season. And this is a rookie who's learning a new offense, a new system. So could take some time to get going.
Staying with the Raiders, the Raiders obviously have their tight end of the future, the president in the future, in Michael Meyer. Now they had him for 12 months as their tight end of the future and present, and then Brock Bowers fell to them on draft day, and they felt like they had no choice but to take him. To be quite honest, they thought they were set at the tight end position. Obviously, Bowers goes out and has a historic season. Now they're set at the tight end spot. Michael Meyer, they've tried to trade him a little bit. We've heard reports that he's going to be involved in the offense. You mentioned things changing, new head coach, new quarterback. Is Meyer going to get on the field a lot? There are going to be a lot of 2 tight end sets here with the Raiders, I guess, is that, they're going to want to run the ball with Jeanty. So maybe that's an issue here. And do you see a lot of 2 tight end sets, or do you see Meyer potentially taking some looks from Bowers? I think people can dream on 100+ catches again. That's a really high bar for any tight end. And now you got Michael Meyer, who's seemingly impressing the front office there with his offseason work.
So if you look back at last season, Meyer played in 63% of the offensive snaps. So he was on the field a lot. Didn't mean that he got a ton of opportunities. Right. And that's what we could potentially see here, where they use that's another thing. Like, do they go Bech? Do they go Meyer? Like, who's going to be that 4th option at the end of the day? Because that's what we're looking at this point, because it's the 4th option here. Do I think Meyer will be on the field a lot? Yes. Do I think that's going to translate to fantasy production and opportunities? Not necessarily. I think the Raiders, unless look, if they want to put Bowers as a wide receiver, like that would be the only time that Meyer will be that guy. But for me, you look at Meyer, and it's just unfortunate, right? Because there was expectations. They drafted him with the mentality of, like you said, this is their guy, and then Bowers comes and he sets the world on fire his first season, and that's it. Like, now it looks like he's, the tight end of the future of the NFL. So I just don't see a path to many opportunities for Meyer, unfortunately. I think eventually the Raiders are going to move him. They're going to have to move on from him. And that's what we should be expecting here. But if you're looking to invest from a fantasy perspective, this is just not the spot to be investing in Meyer. Don't see, even if he's on the field, I don't see a path to a ton of opportunities, barring any injuries on this offense.
Raiders head coach Pete Carroll said the following: "I'm not relying on one guy."
Yeah.
When asked about the team's running back situation, Oh my God, panic in the streets. Ashton, Jeanty. Oh my God, we're actually going to use 2 running backs. Every team uses 2 running backs. A lot of them use 3. That's normal. This is reverse coach speak, right? Like this doesn't mean a damn thing. Jeanty's still going to get 20 touches a week.
This is, hey, I'm going to give my running back 80 to 85% of the opportunities in this offense. The other 15 would be shared among the other guys. So I'm going to use a committee, all right? But it's not a committee that we think of 50-50, 60-40. No. This is, I guess if you want to call it a committee, an 80-20 committee at best. I mean, listen, so we saw Atlanta do this, right? Where they Bijan, they kind of limited with Tyler Algier. There's no Tyler Algier in this backfield. Like, there's just not.
Raheem Mostert is not Tyler. No, he's not.
No. Well, for the 2 games he played short.
Oh, okay.
But no. Look, at the end of the day, they cannot not give Jeanty all the touches he can handle. Like, that's why they drafted him. He's a difference maker, and I know Bijan Robinson is too. But I think if you look back at how Bijan was used early on in his career, there's some question marks. Pete Carroll's smart enough. He's not going to use the early draft capital on Jeanty and not use him. I'm sorry. I think if I still have Jeanty 300 plus opportunities in his rookie campaign, like if that comes part of a committee, sure, but 300 plus opportunities so long as he's healthy.
Final question for you, Armando. Do you have a pack of cards today? Do you have one more? Or?
I do not, but
okay.
I
have things to share.
I mean, I have a bunch of cards here. If you want me to, I can show a couple.
No,
I do have a couple cool thing that I got for Father's Day that I'll show.
Okay, all right. One more football question, then you can do a little show and tell. That's good. Dalton Kincaid was really good as a rookie, and last year he was really bad.
Yes.
From a statistical point of view, he's supposedly gotten stronger. He's added muscle, so the old rah-rah, I'm going to return to prominence here. What's Dalton Kincaid's role in this offense? Because, again, he went from 70-plus catches to like 44 catches last year. Didn't get in the end. He hasn't gotten the end zone either year. He's not used the goal line. Cook scoring all the touchdowns. Allen scoring all the touchdowns. Dalton Kincaid, did everyone just have it wrong 12 months ago with him?
No, I don't think so. I think, he did get dinged up. He played through an injury. We've read that. He had fewer targets, but he played 3 fewer games in the previous season. When you look at it, he actually accounted for a larger percent of the target share. So when he was healthy, 20% target share compared to 18% target share as a rookie. I think the big takeaway here is just the fact that he didn't play every game. He was playing hurt. I think in year 3, I think it's a good time to reinvest in him, right? Like, I still think he's going to be a focal point in this offense. I think, when you look at Buffalo, they tend to spread it around a little bit. I think he's going to be a big red zone threat for them here. So I'm in the business of investing in Kincaid. I still think you're looking at a tight end 1, a top 12 tight end, someone who maybe doesn't give you that consistent weekly floor as high as you like it. But you're not paying a premium price for him this year. I think you're getting him at a reasonable price and for his ceiling, for his potential. And remember, this is still one of the best offenses in football, one of the best teams in football. And I think he's going to play a key role in that. I think there's going to be a bounce back season for him. I wrote that in the Tight End Outlooks article there that you could find on the draft guide. And for me, that's a huge plus that you're getting him at a discount. And, it's because he just didn't have the season everyone expected. It's similar to like a Sam Laporta, right? Like, these are kind of tight ends that they didn't perform to expectations, but there's reason to think that there's going to be a better season this upcoming year. So I think a healthy Kincaid could produce much better than he did last year.
Mono Marcel, FantasyGuru.com. We often open up packs of cards, but this week he's going to share some wondrous cards that are cards or Father's Day. I don't know.
Oh, a little bit of both. So what do you guys want? What you guys want? I have some football. I have some. I'm sorry. Let me see. I might have some.
You can do football. We don't do baseball. Football's
what I have here. I have. Let me see. I have basketball. I don't have many footballs. I have basketball, baseball. What do you want? You tell me.
The finals are happening in basketball. Let's go with basketball. What the hell?
All right, let's see what we got cooking here. Let's get some fun ones.
The Rock cooking.
All right, so we got a couple of parallels here, pink parallels.
Are you basically going to buy a new house with these cards?
Not yet. No, we haven't gotten there yet. We're almost there. All right, so let's get some red parallels.
How often do you purchase cards?
Not Not that often. A lot of these were boxes that my daughter got for her birthday, and because they asked for these things. They're big fans of it.
So do you normally go to the card shop, or do you normally get them at like big box stores? I think you do a lot of online ordering, right?
The players I want, I do get them. All right, so we'll do that there. I think that's good there. All right, here we go. A couple of pink parallels, and then we are good here. All right. Let's see. Oh, look, and I'll do this one since he's in the finals. Not great player, but he's in the finals. Why not?
No,
it's Lou Dort. All right. So first, it says in the nature of baseball. By the way, look what I got for Father's Day.
Legendary Ballparks, nice.
Yeah, this is a really cool book.
Good coffee table book. Yeah.
So this is a really cool book, and I also got. I'm a big dad jokes guy.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Extra punny. Yeah.
Yeah, it's extra funny. You know, I won't do one today. We'll do the next show.
Okay. Something to look forward to.
All right. So this is a little Kevin Love pink parallel.
Wow. It's like a refractor in the Yeah,
it's a Norris optic pink parallel there. Okay. I'll leave it. Then we got a John Wall. These are little old school ones, but they're little nice cards. John Wall.
Yeah.
We got a Allen Iverson Express lane here. So
for those of us that don't know, these cards are inserts or are they regular cards?
Some are inserts, some are regular.
Okay. Obviously, Iverson doesn't play anymore, so that must be an insert.
Yeah. And then we got Kemba green parallel, so he doesn't play. I think he's. Let me see.
Yeah, I hate when that happens, right?
He's the one. Let me see. Yeah, he's still Kemba. Yeah, he's still with the. Oh no, he's a player enhancement coach. You see, I knew it. There you go. We got old school Shaquille O'Neal right here with the Lakers. So these are.
Okay. Yeah. I don't remember Shaq doing too many finger roll layups. Do you?
I don't remember that either, at all. Yeah. And we got a little Larry Bird action here. Yeah. So these are
my brother's favorite player growing up.
Really?
Yep. He had a Larry Bird Celtics jersey, the green. Yep.
Okay. This is a cool one. This is a Scottie Pippen green parallel. It's a really cool card.
That's a cool card.
Yeah. Yeah, these are just cool cards, not super valuable cards, but just we got a little Jared Allen, the center for the Cavs. Right. Parallel here. He's a good player. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
We got the winner stays. This is Steph Curry.
I know him.
Yeah.
I've heard of him.
So this is a cool one here.
Right.
We got Zach LaVine. This is a red parallel here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matches the team color. That's good.
Jimmy Butler, pink parallel when he was Miami.
Look at that.
Yeah. And then Lou Dort, he's currently in the finals. There you go. You got a little pink parallel there.
Yeah.
These are just cool cards. I have them here on the side because I'm putting them away and stuff like that. I'll tell you, I have.
What's a pack of those cards cost? Are those like $10 a pack kind of cards?
Yeah, 10 to 12 depending.
Okay.
The size you have. It depends where you get it to. Like if you go to a mom and pop local store, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. They sell them a little more expensive there, the boxes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, 20. You could get the box for like $30 or something like that. You get packs for like $10. So yeah, $12.99 depends. So that's pretty much where you're getting these packs at.
I always find it interesting. Back when I was a kid, and you're not my age, but when you were younger too, you used to get a full box of cards, like 36 packs or 24 packs, and it was like a brick.
Yeah,
it weighed like 3 pounds.
No, it was a box. It was an actual box. There was no packs, and it was just a box full of cards, 1 through whatever number it was. I had the all pro NFL set. I had a couple of those. Yeah. 92, 90, or 92, 91, 90, like that.
And now you get the box, and the box has 10 packs in it or something. So the box is like half air. It's got cardboard to hold the packs in the middle, and it's just like, it's such a different, and I know it's totally different vibe and experience today than it was when I was younger. But we didn't even have inserts really when we started. The inserts when I was a kid were like as we've seen here on the show, like the puzzle pieces and stuff that we threw out. So we didn't even want the inserts. The insert was a checklist. Like, it's not even a real thing. Now the inserts are, one of ones are worth $100,000 and all that craziness. So
yeah,
different world out there, Armando. Oh well. Before we run, do you know offhand what your most expensive card is? Do you know what it would be?
I have to double check now. a few Jamar Chase PSA 10s.
Okay.
I have who else? There's another PSA 10 I have. It would have to be one of those. I have a few signed cards from players, but they're not graded.
Signed, like they're actual signed from
prospects.
Top, whatever. You didn't personally get them signed.
Yeah, I know. I bought them signed. Like I have, like Max Meyer, the pitcher from Miami. I have. He was a prospect that kind of invested in.
Sure.
He hasn't looked the same though since that Tommy John, unfortunately. But I would say one of the Jamar Chases, maybe. I have a lot of CD Lamb rookie cards as well. So it would have to be one of those. And then I have a Jordan Love patch card. But that was not graded. It's a numbered patch rookie card. So I have a lot of those there that I haven't looked at the value recently. But I would have to say it would have to be one of the Jamar Chase PSA 10s. Yeah.
You're fancy.
Yeah. I've tried to. So what I try to do is I try to, like, when I really like a player, I'll buy a bunch of their cards.
Right.
And then try to get a couple of graded ones. So I have a ton of Jamar Chase. I have a ton of CD Lamb. I have several CJ Strouds. But you know what? I'll look into that, and I'll see if I dig into it, all of them, and see which one I think is the most, or which one I find to be the most valuable. So give me a couple shows before we do that.
Okay.
Because I do have a lot of cards, so I would have to do that.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Armando Marsala, FantasyGuru.com, joins us every Tuesday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can catch him on the live stream tonight over at FantasyGuru.com, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can find his articles over at FG. You can find him in the Discord all the time. You can find his podcast, Mind of Marsal. Go to FantasyGuru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. Breaking down the divisions with Tyler Beaker. Tyler's then using his notes as articles. So you've got the articles and the podcast, all that good stuff moving forward. Armando, thanks for your time today. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again in a week. Have a great week, and go football.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me on, man. Always a blast talking with you. So take care, everyone.
You got it. He's Armando Marsal. I'm Ray Flowers. Again, I'll be back tomorrow. Schedule's different this week. I'm here with you the 4 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I'll be back with you tomorrow. Rich Mileto and I will chop it up here on the show, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. For Armando, I'm Ray. It's been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com.